Driveline R&D podcast, episode 24. This is your co-host, Alex Caravan, co-swag manager of baseball analytics. And today we got my other half of
Whoa.
Is this recording?
We're just going to go straight into it?
No, I mean, let me introduce, also, because it leads off naturally.
But you're not going to let the primary host, Dude,
the primary host spent 40 minutes doing overlays that I was trying to get at. Okay, okay, go ahead. Make around the circle, but we got a special guest.
Go ahead, Kyle.
Kyle Lindley, R&D engineer, drinking Jack Daniels whiskey.
R&D marketing czar. Anthony Brady, primary host of the Driveline R&D podcast, Research and Drinks, episode 24. Drinking a Reuben's, our sponsoring brewery. Mind the Gap, not quite as
And for everyone confused, Reuben's is a sandwich and a brewery in Ballard, Seattle. Because Brady sometimes does drink Reuben's. He throws them in a blender and mixes them up. It's pretty disgusting.
I thought he was going to pull out a sandwich, dude. I was going to be
exclusive Reuben's diet. Reuben's beer, blended Reuben's smoothies.
Yeah, and we got our first. First off, dude, you guys, we really botched this opening.
Yeah.
But I'm drinking some Japanese beer. Check the overlay for the name of it. I don't know what it is.
Are they a sponsor too?
So you no Nico.
And we got our first guest, Dan Aucoin.
Yeah. I suppose I should say something, huh? First appearance here, Dan Aucoin, co-manager of analytics with Caravan.
You know what the swaggiest thing about this is, though, Dan? Your first appearance on the podcast is on it talking and not listening.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I've never listened to this in my life.
Crazy.
No, I have no idea how this is going to go. None.
Never listened to the podcast. Is kind of fucked up. But first appearance is he's on it. Talking. That's fine.
Everyone assumes that I listen to this too. Everyone's just like, episode 18. It's just like, bro, I'm protesting the podcast until I get on it.
We could have just slandered Dan for 23 episodes.
We could have, dude. That's what I've been trying to do.
Dude, I wasn't trying to give it away.
I feel like that was part of why I didn't watch. I was just nervous to hear you guys talk shit about me, dude.
Yeah.
Ignorance is bliss. Anyways, I'm here now. This is my first appearance, and it's on a technicality.
Yep. Dan Aucoin, first guest. Even though Jags won the poll,
that's what I mean.
Everything just couldn't make it, but decided to have Dan on. Speaking of the Reds, Jags, thoughts on Trevor's start today?
Is that to me?
Yeah,
it was pretty good. Hey,
dude, not bad.
It plays. A
lot of pitches spinning real fast.
Did he get a W, though? I don't think he did. I think he got a no decision.
I think he got a 6.1, 13 Ks. Caravan, did you see it at all?
No, I saw stat line: 2 hits, 1 walk, 1 run. Yeah.
Pumping, dude. Oh,
no W. That's a no decision.
I'm sorry, go Phils. I was getting in the go.
I'm actually wearing a Phil shorts.
Watch yourself.
Let's go. I'm wearing my red shorts. We're representing today, baby.
Are you?
Oh, he took out the background overlay. Let's go. All right, okay. This podcast is already off to the disastrous start. We're doing no guests after this.
There's way too many people. Just done after that.
4 people. Yeah, cut the recording. Cut the recording. We're releasing this as a 5-minute clip. I guess Dan, do you want to do a quick background on yourself?
Tell the listeners who you are.
Why you're better co-manager of baseball analytics than myself, and how you got there?
I have a couple questions regarding this as well too.
Well, I wasn't gonna go that far, bro. But if we're gonna start with me being better than you, I'll go in pretty strong detail of what I got. No, I mean my background. I graduated in 2015. Spent a few years in pro ball, just doing like rando video player development nonsense for Toronto for 2 years, Tampa Bay for 1. And then ended up at Driveline, and I've been here since, and worn a couple of different hats. I worked in CR originally, then in R&D, then had a brief spell on the pitching floor, and now back in R&D, baby. And I also obviously am a consultant for the Phillies that started up in January. Basically, yeah. Hey, I've crushed like 10% of the league. I was thinking about this. 3 teams now. I got an outside shot at least, I think 10, 15 teams before this is all said and done. I want my baseball ref page to just have like 80 different jerseys on there or whatever.
All your stints.
Yeah, all my stints. So that's the long-term goal. No, I mean,
like the who is it? Edwin Jackson, who played for like
the Octavio Dotel. The Octavio Dotel is the one I want to beat, honestly.
Well, I was gonna say hard-hitting question off the bat. So, which team did you like the best?
Bro, the Phillies. No, I mean the Reds. No, I mean the Phillies. I mean, so I think pro ball obviously has changed a lot in the past like 5 years. It was a pretty interesting sort of transition for me to go from what it was in like 2015 to 2017, which is when I went to Driveline September of 2017, when really the industry, I think, had like a decent idea of the direction it needed to go in terms of player development, but just wasn't ready to kind of make that next step. Whereas like Driveline was, pretty far ahead of what truly probably 28 teams were doing. And so to come back to it in 2020 and see the buy-in on different levels, not just with the Phillies, but throughout baseball, you get to see different teams that come through the complex and see the process. And obviously, we have connections all throughout the industry. So to just kind of like see the transition and just like, I mean, what's really been like 36 months is pretty ridiculous when you like think about sort of like before and after. So it's been cool. It's been cool to sort of like see that transition and actually start to be a part of it.
Yeah, I forget about that a lot internally, just with like what we do at Driveline sometimes, like where like we've come in the last 2 years, or I mean from like training back in 2016 to like what we do now. I was thinking about it the other day doing like a biomech assessment and thinking back to like Taiki doing my onboarding, like teaching me how to do a walking windup, and I thought that was like so like next level back when I was like, this is the place. Like Eric Sim is on the mound, fucking pumping like 96, and Adele's playing. I was like, yeah, these guys are so far ahead of their.
Adele was playing. You guys were pumping Adele during Mountain View days.
Joe Beimel started training at the facility in 2016. He exclusively pulled down and did like velo workouts to Adele. And then he was just pumping fuel, and he was like a 12-year big leaguer. So everyone just started listening to Adele also.
Yeah, Adele's elite.
Which is relevant to what we were talking about before off air. T Swift's new album and her favorite, or her new folklore. And Lindley said, what'd you say your favorite is? Oh, he said you have no favorite.
I haven't listened to it enough yet. I have favorites from her old stuff, but not.
Oh, and that's the second question I was going to ask you, Dan. What's your favorite T Swift song?
Bro, I got nothing on that front, dude.
Now we're getting
I'm sorry.
Relevant to what Brady was saying, though, I think kind of low key. You've been the longest full-time employee out of any of the four of us. What do you think is like the? I mean, like how is R&D? September 2017, bro.
Dude, watch the episode. You'll know.
Yeah, how is the R&D growth like?
That's true. Yeah.
Yeah, of course that's true. That's why I said it, dog. Your boy doesn't lie on the podcast. How has the R&D growth like changed throughout the podcast?
Well, it took a huge dip September 2017 when Lindley and I left as interns. So
yeah, that's true.
It kind of
just through the last couple years.
Fall 2017.
I mean, if you want the answer from the start of the podcast, it's dipped pretty significantly, I think, since we started the podcast. But since I've started, I mean, it's just, I don't even know who technically was in R&D at the time. It had to have been like Marsh, OC. Bodie, right?
OC.
Swartz doing some part-time stuff.
Yeah. Swartz was doing part-time stuff.
We still Wagshaw wasn't.
I didn't have any overlap with Wagshaw.
Wagshaw was like kind of like I think starting to disappear around that time. Around that fall, I think.
Like I mean, he works with the Diamondbacks now. North Carolina.
Micah?
Oh. Yeah, Micah.
Micah, yeah.
Like Daily Harris.
Micah around that time, or was he
No.
before us?
He was before us in 2017.
Okay, but besides name dropping people that only 10 of the listeners will know, talking macro processes, like what have you been most excited about in terms of us building out, obviously the R&D department and our sub analytics department,
the podcast,
which
media,
a little bit more new, but just general trends you've noticed, things you've pushed for. Because I think to kind of lead you on the answer, I think when I first started working at Driveline, I didn't realize at first how much of a trove of sabermetric research and just like overall baseball knowledge you had, and like that you were like being frankly like very underutilized. And I think I was one of the first people I caught on, but even then I didn't catch on like right away. And I think like we had essentially a couple of people bookmarked for R&D, but our scope was like fairly narrow at the time compared to what it is now, which is like night and day. What do you think?
Yeah. I mean, I think in terms of like the evolution of R&D, I was probably like a little bit too early in terms of like my skill set sort of like aligning where our direct needs were at the time. Cause I think when I started, we had like 35, 40 employees. So it was basically just like a couple hitting trainers, like the majority of the company was basically like pitching floor trainers, CR. And then like in terms of R&D, it was strictly trying to like make sure the biomechanics lab was dialed. And then I think like you were brought on maybe like a couple months after I started to sort of like build out some systems, but we just didn't really have a sort of like, I think we were still answering baseline questions about like how to throw hard, and also sort of like validating our sort of
like his hair though.
Like how hard
you know how difficult it was to keep talking while you did that, dude. My God. No, but I mean, yeah, we just like, I think we're just focused on sort of like, do weighted balls, or like how much velocity can you gain in a weighted ball program? You know what I mean? And like validating modus, like those are the types of questions we had at the time. Mm-hmm. And then like, as we've sort of evolved into tracking a bunch of stuff in track, which I think was like the game changer, just like getting really like in-depth information on our athletes, and then being able to like expand the questions we have. And then just also getting like higher level clients to do some more sabermetric type stuff, just because we were interested and also like it was relevant to sort of just like our broader, I guess like goal of like getting our athletes better. I think like when you combine all those things, that I think is the most that R&D has changed, is just like our scope just like needed to evolve with the times. And then like one last thing too is just like the expansion of like Blast, the expansion of DK, all of those different Rapsodo, like getting CSV access. Those are the things that we didn't have in 2017 really.
Yeah, we were still crushing modus assessments and manually recording the four like yeah.
Yeah, and entering, we were entering like every Rapsodo metric just in a sheet.
Yeah.
In a sheet.
It was very inconsistent. Sometimes we were including spin efficiency. Sometimes we weren't. Dan, I was so psyched when I finally like met you and like figured what you were about, because the only information I had about you was through like Slack, because I was like a partial member of Slack before.
Pings, dude. Yeah. Basecamp pings.
Yeah, that's right.
This dude was the only person to this day that I've ever met that's Basecamp pinged me.
Hey. Mike's on for me.
Nice. I just remember, like, I didn't even know what you looked like. I think your Twitter, Avi, was like you walking on some like mountain or cliff.
It still is, dude.
It still is. And then
that's the longest hike it's been on, by the way.
Your headline.
I haven't been outside since then.
Your header was like some I think DM with Rogers or something.
Yeah,
I was like, this guy is the most mysterious man of all time.
Hey, Rogers didn't believe me that Mike like sent out a DM request, like trying to like crowdsource different athletes that had bought our stuff that pitched in the big leagues. Yeah, that purchased equipment, and I dropped a like rogue name that nobody knew about, but I knew because I was in CR.
Yeah.
And Rogers just like didn't believe me.
Yeah.
Or whatever.
Yeah, screenshot and just dunked on him.
Yeah. I proved him wrong. Proved him wrong. And then he sent me that message. And that was my header for probably about like 2.5 years.
Yeah, I think the first time I met Dan was when I came back that winter of 2017, 2018.
Like your winter break?
Like New Year's-ish. And because I got brought in off waivers to work the floor because everyone was at ABCA or something.
Everyone's at ABCA and out for like vacation for Christmas.
And I started working right after that. I think I worked right after that ABCA. So I didn't meet Brady for like another 6 months.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure that, because I showed up to train and I remember walking into CR and seeing you at the desk working and just like, I like had no idea who you were, but I was just like, oh, what's up? And then I just like went off. And then Mike messaged me and was like, yo, are you down to work for a bit? And then Tosh and I were working the floor. I think Tosh had just had surgery too. So he was like, sling.
Tosh just had surgery.
Yeah, and me and Tosh were like the pitching coaches on the floor at the time.
We flew Jags in too, didn't we? We flew him in
he came for a bit. Yeah. And Jack Bannon was just running around shooting videos of everything going on. That was a wild. And
and the first time I met Dan,
I still don't know what you do now. So nothing's changed.
Nobody does, dude.
No, I was going to say two things about like Dan's work and just like overall attitude and like beliefs kind of that have helped me a bunch is like when I first started working, as a quantitative analyst, and it was like kind of overwhelming because there's so many projects to do and so many different data formats. And we had so many things like not established. We didn't have like KPIs. We didn't have like structured data input, data output. Nobody knew what Track's backend was. There were like so many things to do. I wasn't even sure what I was like. I worked on studies for like the first couple of months. Like that was the majority of work I was doing. But I was like, I don't even know like what I don't know who's reading these studies. I don't know like the application turnaround is on them. And then when Dan started working on like discrete sabermetric projects, like I think, and I might have mentioned this before, or honestly, I might not have mentioned it to you, Dan. I think like two things that were really, really cool and gave me confidence is you like essentially terming proprietary like stats and stuff, like coming up with names, and then all of a sudden you're like, stuff plus, and then driveline spin rate adjusted on a whatever, and I was like, oh shit, we can do that. And then I was like, that makes it, and I was like, wait, that hasn't been done before. And now like I was like looking, I was like, wow, there's actually a lot, because it's overwhelming, right? There's like so much work out there, but then like you like look through it and then there's like recurring kind of like missing gaps, and you're like, right. Oh wow, like it's crazy. You can come in, focus on a niche, because everyone's like, I mean, tons of people work only on sabermetrics, but there's like still so much stuff left unexplored. You can like find a specific question that you like want to research, and then you go into it and then you work on it for X amount of time. And if you're like as talented or as educated as Dan is, you can come up with an answer that nobody's really come up with. And then you like present that and then have the confidence to like double down on it. Because the other thing, like I'd have like pitching coaches ask me like, okay, what's the like, what's the most similar pitcher? What's like a pitch type comp? And I would like, since I don't have the sort of baseball background Dan does, I would run something on a model and I would have like my own intuition and math behind it. And I'd come up with what I think looking back were good answers, but I'd have like no real like faith or route to follow up on. I'd tell like Bill or Sam, I'm like, oh yeah, this is a player comp. And then, I'd Slack them and I'd be like, I don't know. I don't even know if they use that information, I have no idea if they use that information. And I'm not even sure if I don't feel as confident telling them like, hey, yo, Sam, I know you've worked with like dozens of pro pitchers, but just so you know, this is actually what you should be doing, or this is actually what you should be telling this pitcher. Like I didn't have the same like sort of confidence and stuff. And I saw Dan do that. And I saw like just his base of knowledge and all his background and how much trainers and, pitching floor manager believed in him and how much and I think you shaped the path for that, because you just had to kind of show all these people that are way more hands-on than you with athletes. Once they realize how much you know about pitching and how much you know about baseball and how much you like can connect the dots, you're like, oh, okay, this guy's legit. Whereas I was kind of like, oh yeah, my model says this pitch should improve him by 12.2% and lower his predicted ERA by 0.14. Like, oh, okay. And I was like, I don't know, that person thinks I'm full of shit or what. I don't know where that info went.
I think that's the takeaway. If you just like sound smart enough, you can just like make up whatever you want. I think we're.
But the thing is, I didn't know.
Yeah.
That's all I do. No, hey, let me say something first and foremost. If you guys compliment me this much for the remainder of the podcast, I might start listening actually. But
as soon as the beers start to kick in, it'll get pretty ruthless.
My boy Dan.
Yeah.
Dude, he's such a homie.
Yeah. Wait, Caravan, what kind of beer is that? It's like a honey wheat ale or something?
I don't know, man, but I just was here to drink it with me.
That must be like a very like happy, friendly beer. Caravan is a lot more ruthless.
I remember when I DM'd Dan for relationship advice. if we're trying to talk about stuff that Dan stopped.
3 a.m. Eastern too, dude. That was like 3:15 a.m. Eastern, dude.
I feel like
and Dan was still hitting me with 4 paragraph responses.
I feel like I just assume all my messages to Dan are at like 3 a.m. because he's on the East Coast.
Usually my outgoing ones are at like 3:15 a.m. too.
Yeah, Dan has crazy hours. Literally, and the first thing I asked Dan, I think I literally said, "Yo, how do you live with your longtime girlfriend but work such crazy hours?" That's what I said because I was trying to figure out like with my own relationship status and everything. I was like, how do you pull that off, dog?
I think my answer was like poorly or something like that. I think I said, quote, "Thank God I've been in a relationship for like 5 years before I started working at Driveline." I think that was my actual answer.
Makes sense.
Yeah. And we're going to turn this podcast into a relationship advice. So if you have any questions for myself, Dan, Lindley, Brady, just DM us and we'll answer them on the next podcast.
Yep.
I want to get added to a relationship list, like a relationship advice list.
On Twitter. Speaking of that's our so all our longtime podcast listeners kind of know Lindley and I are in a competition that I'm gonna win probably in a couple weeks here. But we kind of let Dan know we're gonna talk about this before, so it might be a little bit prepped. But give it to us real. Who's got a better Twitter game, myself or Lindley?
Dude, I mean, you didn't give me enough time to think about it, dude. I'll go. I'll lean Lindley.
Let's go, dude.
Yeah.
Wow.
Dude, it's because he's got momentum on the follower game, dude. He's catching up, right?
Yeah,
dude,
that's what
you don't want to appeal to the general like masses, because
that's what I consider Twitter game, dude. You know what I mean? You can't bring that academic stuff, dude. You're gonna cap yourself at 1,500 followers, dude.
This is what I mean. I was trying to tell him 2 weeks ago. I was like, you could be ahead all you want, but like I'm still set up for a pretty good comeback.
Caravan,
I read.
Say the word. Say the word. Couple bones.
Yeah, word. I'm saying word, dog. Hook it up.
Couple skeleton gifts, couple biomechanics gifts, 50 retweets. Boom.
I've never gone 50 retweets in my life, so I'll gladly take that.
You know what the unlock is, dude? This is what you got to go for. You've got to go for the trifecta, dude. You got to get the Bodie retweet, the O-Chart retweet, the Driveline corporate account retweet. You hit those 3, dude.
No, you know what the mega one is? You know what the mega one is? Those are
Pitching
big.
Ninja.
Those are a big 3, but you know what the number one is?
Pitching Ninja.
Pitching Ninja, dude.
Mm-hmm.
Pitching Ninja retweet is a game changer.
Caravan, you know why I'm about to come back on you?
One that I get every now and then that always blows up is Ace of Spader, Ryan Spader.
Oh, you get Spader, dude?
Dude, he's a good one. If you can get that retweet, you're gonna clear the bag.
You gotta. The key thing is once you get the O-Chart, Bodie, Driveline trifecta, you get it like 2 or 3 times. You pretty much like milk that trifecta. Yeah. You know what I mean? Anyone who's gonna follow you at that point. And then you've got to expand to other bigger. Like Caravan, you got JJ Cooper the other day, didn't you? Like a couple weeks ago.
Oh, that was a big one.
That was big for you.
Yeah.
What was the one that you got that one time? Didn't you get an Eno retweet on like an insane tweet?
Myself or Dan?
You, Caravan?
I've gotten a couple Eno retweets.
Yeah, but I think you got one that was on where the content was probably not even. It was
the wrong. He retweeted a wrong thing. He retweeted a wrong thing for me.
What'd you say?
That's hilarious.
He retweeted a wrong thing. Whatever he retweeted probably hurt me. It lost me followers.
Yeah.
Oh, this is what this guy tweets about? I'm out.
Yeah.
Well, dude, Brady's got the unlock, dude. Starting with the biomech polls, dude. People live for that.
Stumbled into it, dude. People just really like a place to like hear themselves or just like talk, and like give their own like advice or opinion on something. Polls were just, I was amazed at how many answers. Also, how many like players would answer them, and like there were a couple players that DM'd me that were like asking me for the answers to the polls before they came.
Oh, they were trying to cheat. They're like, trying to cheat.
I gotta know. No, like they already tweeted. They just really wanted to know. Like,
that'd be pretty funny if you gave them the answer.
I'll pay you $5.
Reply, dude.
Dude, there's got to be like
all their friends they got it right.
There's got to be like another poll niche area out there about like finding where all the coaches think they know everything, because that's the one. Like for that, it was like pitching mechanics and velocity. So maybe there's probably something similar for like bat speed.
We gotta find the area between like what Tango tweets or what Tango's polls are, and a little bit like more geared towards the general masses. I think. You know what I mean?
Check more applied.
No, dude. No, I don't know what you mean, dude. I have no idea. Dude, have you not seen Tango's polls are about like his favorite TV show, dude.
Ooh, Caravan.
That's what I'm saying, dude.
Caravan, what you could do is you could throw up a scatter plot and say like, what's the R² value?
No, dude, I'm not doing that.
That's what I'm talking. That's why Lindley's gonna win. That's why he's got the better social media prowess, dude.
I'm trying to keep it real to you. I'm sorry.
No, you know why I'm gonna win, Caravan? Because I just responded to somebody on Twitter just now. I never stop grinding on my Twitter game, dude.
This guy's taking the podcast. You'll get him.
You're taking a break right now.
Dude, you've been answering that message for 10 minutes, dude. That's not going to scale. That's not going to scale at like 2,500 followers, dude.
It took me 6 seconds to respond to him, bro.
No, it didn't.
That's not a good response.
You've been on mute for 10 minutes. We'll roll this back.
But I think it'd be. I think you actually have a pretty good perspective on it because I think Dan, I think you certainly didn't like. I think it's really hard for either of us to really kill the social media game because there's like already people doing what we're doing, but like more geared towards the public. So we have to be like more niche kind of, or more like specific and granular, but then that's that much harder to kind of understand and stuff. But I think you've done, definitely it's a much better job than me. Like, what are your thoughts and perspective on baseball research, social media in 2020?
Wow. Yeah. What a question.
And drop names, baby. I want Twitter handles.
Let me take a sip of my drink first, bro.
This is what I want this is what we got to clip out. So you better make this good enough to clip out, Dan.
Yeah. Caravan just wants this advice for himself. Hey, no,
yeah.
I mean, there's only so many pro ball burner accounts. You know what I mean? Like, and they don't retweet anything, dude. No, I mean, I think the key thing is just, I mean, obviously understanding your audience is like first and foremost, like the big thing. And it's difficult because, we have like this echo chamber where we do have some sort of like higher level conversations and we make some sort of like baseline assumptions about like what people know. I always like joke around that like the tweets I think that are like the least valuable, the least important. Like what? Absolutely. Dude, like Duno, for example, is just like, hey, it'd be cool if you just like ran bats, like your estimated bat speed by like formula, like by count, or whatever. And I was just like, it took like a minute, and that got like the trifecta retweet, dude, blew up, got me like 100 followers. But it's like you work on something for like weeks and you're just like, this project is sick. Here's like this stuff.
Yeah.
And it's just like way too technical.
Yeah.
So you've just got to like, I think you just got to like really, if you find something super basic, just tweet it out. You know 100%. What I mean? Like something just like that you may find only like partially interesting that may be actually like super valuable for someone that's just picking up this stuff for the first time. You just got to like realize that how you do so much research that like step one that you just like sort of gloss over oftentimes is usually like the most interesting thing to someone else. I think that's like the big thing that I've like picked up on. But I mean, it's still it's still tough, it's still tough because you still want to put out good stuff that you think that you find valuable, like, so you just gotta like find, I guess, a good balance or whatever.
What are some good follows that do that in like your guys' space, like you and Caravan space? Like you're wearing a hat of a Sabermetric Twitter account host, and what, like, do you have any examples of people who do that really well and like provide
and whoever Dan doesn't mention, he clearly doesn't think does a good job.
Yeah.
Just kidding.
Let me make sure everyone that I forget here that you take offense to this and take it personally. I mean, it's a tough question off the top of my head. I mean, like, I think if you follow all of like the MLBAM, it's tough because so many people in our sphere just get like scooped up in pro ball almost immediately. So you like start putting out really good content and it's just like gone in an instant or whatever. Like you have to sort of go, I think, towards like your college student managers for me. So, like Ethan Moore, all the guys at Iowa. Yeah. I'm not gonna go shout out by shout out, but like, like there's a handful of student managers that I think do like a really good job of like providing like a unique perspective, because there's just like there's I think like a surplus of people who like code really well, who are able to build these like pretty robust models, but they just like don't ask the most interesting questions, or like their research topics like aren't necessarily the most relevant because they don't have like that practical experience yet.
Yeah.
And that's something that you pick up over time, but like those guys, like I think have sort of like expedited that process for themselves by just like being on the field so much. So there's like that sort of like subset of like Twitter personas that I think are pretty interesting to follow. And then like you sort of like pair that with like the MLBAM guys like Tango, Willman, et cetera. Like I think you blanket the industry pretty well if you do that.
I think you might know this better than myself. I reached out to some of the ASU baseball people. I went to ASU, so I reached out to them, and they weren't like super receptive to like analytics help and stuff like that. I think they've moved towards that a little bit, but it's definitely it doesn't seem to be the effect of some of the other universities. Do you think that's becoming more commonplace for like D1 schools to have a bunch of people helping with various parts of baseball operations, or do you think that's still kind of a corner case for college baseball?
Oh, that's a tough one, man. I mean, obviously it's expanding, right? Like I think every team at this, not every team, but like probably majority of like D1 teams have at least one person, whether it's like a director of baseball ops, whether it's sort of like a student manager group or whatever, that are trying to like make sense of
C-War. Trying to make sense of C-War.
Trying to make sense of C-War. No, but just like, the TrackMan data that they're able to collect. And also like I feel like there's an expanding industry in sort of like advanced scouting in college. So like college splits, for example, those types of companies. For whatever reason, I can't think of the other like massive company on that front, but what's up?
643.
Yeah, 643. I couldn't think. I didn't know what the numbers were, dude. I knew it ended in a 3. I didn't know it was 463 643, dude. I couldn't think of it, so I just was like, I'll just ignore it altogether instead of salading it. But there's just like more information on everything in college baseball, and so I think it also like teams are starting to look a little bit more closely and sort of like integrate TrackMan data into their evaluative process as well. So just like getting a better understanding of like what teams value, sort of like maybe can influence how you recruit and the players that you look at and how you develop guys and what you prioritize. So it's all of those things, I think, combining into one. I think the big challenge is just like, you have a lot of individuals that are looking at this data for the first time in terms of like student managers that are 18, 19, and they're large data sets, and they're important, right? Like these are like these careers that you're making suggestions and sort of like giving them advanced reports to like say, hey, this pitcher throws this pitch in this situation 80% of the time, or like we should, position our fielders here, which like directly affects a pitcher's ERA. And there's a bunch of different things, like interaction effects that go into play that like really influences a guy's production, whether that's on the mound, plate, or field. So like, I think the big thing for teams is just trying to invest in like, I think just someone who can help guide these student managers in a more like direct way, help them learn and be able to make the process a little bit more efficient. Because I do think it's a lot of responsibility for a lot of individuals that may not necessarily have the experience just yet. Yeah. So it's kind of a double-edged sword, I guess, is the long way of putting it. Just like, I think there's a reason why teams are a bit hesitant. Some teams are a bit hesitant to go that route. You have to put a lot of faith in some young individuals. And so like, I get it. Yeah. It's just, I think the best way is just putting in a really good system and structure in place, which like a few universities I think have done.
Yeah. That's what I was going to say was like, I actually think is the big bottleneck that a lot of teams still have to address is like, honestly, the head coach, like being able to like for that guy to say something and just be like, okay, we're doing it, because it's like so easy in a situation to be like, like we shouldn't bunt here or whatever kind of a thing. And then the dude strikes out and it's like, fuck, God damn it. So, like, why'd we, like, what are we doing? It's like so easy to like latch onto that still just from like, kind of like coach's bias stuff. And so I feel like even if you have the best analyst, the best like team behind him, or he has the best training or mentors or whatever, who's like told him all the things to do, the stats to run, etc. If he like shows the clipboard to the coach and the coach is like, nah, fuck it, we're bunting here, then it's like, okay, well, he just wasted
for
all
sure.
That. Like I feel like that's still the biggest bottleneck that a lot of teams. And there are some schools that we went to with kind of like the summer tour and college tour stuff and college assessments. And you could really tell that it was really like they had great relationships where the head coach, like if this person said something and like needed to do this, he was like, all right, we're doing it. And I was like, damn, that is tough. He can just like a head guy, especially if you think about these guys who've been in like Power 5 programs for decades, where he can just like, all right, fine. I mean, there are some dudes that have like 300-400 college wins under their belt, at the highest level. And for them to kind of just be like, okay, this guy said this, this is what we're doing. I think that's like.
And it goes both ways, like that's how analysts develop is like you show trust in whoever and they see their experiments sort of play out on the field.
You take it more seriously too.
Yeah. Just across the board. So like it definitely goes both ways. I totally agree.
I think there's a huge aspect of like people skills in there that you need to have. Like you have to be able to establish rapport with the person, because if you just come in hot with like a bunch of stats and sheets and stuff, you're gonna have to take a guy who is pretty willing to just like throw his ego out and do that. If you don't kind of like approach that, like I can just see so many coaches being like, you see this ring or like you see those trophies, or no, I got those by bunting, or like something like that, right? Like it's gonna be pretty tough.
100%. 100%. I think. What were we gonna say, Caravan?
No, I was gonna say, yeah, and it's definitely an uphill battle for myself and Dan, since I didn't play baseball competitively, and just like I don't know, like have all that background, and Dan is like super fucking skinny and doesn't look like he played baseball either. And then we're like trying to like tell all these people how to fucking play, and then Dan's like, literally both Dan and I, I mean, we've got to have, it's got to be up there or down there for like lowest average velo of an analyst department.
I was gonna say, watch yourself, bro. I've been known to pull down 70, dude.
Have you? I've been known to pull down 70.
I've been pulled down 70. No. I was hoping you'd give it to me.
Dan, did you have to go through the velo program? I know Kent did. I didn't know.
I did. Yeah.
Nice.
I went through it, dude. Nice. I went through it. Kent and I had a lie or a Mount Velo at like 8 a.m, just like one Saturday or whatever. And like, I think we were both expecting nobody to be there, and the place was just packed, dude. It was packed.
What were the numbers?
I think
your best bullet?
Kent bested me. I think Kent bested me by like one to two ticks.
What is your best bullet though? Off the mound,
bro. If it's bad, we just cut it out.
Yeah.
Our podcast.
I don't know. Yeah, I don't remember. I mean, it was definitely in the 60s, like I would say mid 60s to be like super safe.
Caravan, your best bullet's like 69, right?
Yeah, and I'm not even kidding. It is 69.
Like 69 too. I was there.
Yeah.
I mean, well, circling back, dude, and to change the conversation from my embarrassment, I mean, it is tough. It is tough. But the thing is, I always say this, but I really do believe it. I think it's less about like, did you play? Yeah. And more just like, are you willing to sort of like hear the other side of the argument and like accept when you're wrong, right? So like, I mean, I was paired with some pretty old school coaches in pro ball and like my first time through. And it took me a while because like I was like afraid to be myself. I was afraid to speak my opinion. I was afraid to sort of just like act like a normal human being, like myself, honestly, for like a really long time. And then I like just took the attitude of just like, like you are who you are. And like, there was less it took like a long time for me to realize that there was like less disagreement and more overlap than like I initially perceived. So like you can have a coach that believes in pitching wins and RBIs or whatever, and stuff that you just like philosophically don't align with. But like when you actually have a true conversation with those same individuals about baseball, you like start to get into the same sort of like contentions. You like share a lot of overlap and things that like you don't necessarily like about the game. You just like see sort of like shortcomings. Like you actually hear their points out. It's just like, I hate analysts that say I shouldn't bunt because they don't consider XYZ in their models.
This time? What about yeah.
And it's true. It's just like, yeah, you're right. Like you're still probably wrong. Like bunting is still probably shitty, but also like in most situations, but like also like you're right. Like they don't consider those things and like they should, And so like, you start to have those conversations and you can like agree to disagree. And you realize like you can pick up a lot of shit about baseball from like these individuals and you can give something like back to them. So like once I realized that, it became like really easy to build relationships with like coaches that like never in my life I like would have imagined I'd have close relationships with.
Dude, I remember like Sabre Conference 2019, aka not the time I presented remotely. When we were at that networking event.
You're the opposite of presenting, dude.
Yeah.
Anyways, what are you saying?
Barely presentable, I think is
good
definition.
It was a spectator, dude.
Yeah.
You were barely presentable in public.
I walked in halfway through. I walked in halfway through when Bodie was
presentable later that night.
Yeah. Couldn't even make it. I had Mike Clevenger getting me into a club and I still couldn't make it.
Didn't get in.
So I was wearing basketball shorts. But anyway.
I need to find that Slack receipt, dude.
I
need to find that Slack receipt.
Yeah.
Dude.
That's an all-timer. That's an all-timer.
Well, first off, this conference started with me walking in at 8:30. Bodie's already halfway through presenting. I'm texting Dan where he's at. I had a late night the night before.
That was when the bunk bed started, dude. That was when the bunk bed started.
Only slept on the bed, or only slept on the plane. Walk in, little under the weather. Thought there'd be coffee and refreshments. There's nothing except some water. Grab some water. I'd asked Dan where he was. He said middle of the seat. So I'm like walking over, see Dan. Excited to see Dan because Bodie's talking. I'm like, try to sit down. Immediately spill water all over Dan and our coworker Marcus. And
first of all, we're at a conference, dude. Everyone's wearing collared shirt and like slacks, dude. You're wearing gym shorts.
No juice.
And a sweater that said no juice. And you go to dap me up, dude, in the middle of the talk, in the front middle, and you spill water all over.
Barely presentable.
Dude, Marcus was so rattled, dude. Marcus was so rattled. Yeah,
I remember later at a networking event, like like some past coworkers, just a bunch of like people from teams you'd worked with were just like flocking around you. You're all just like in a circle, like waiting to, you know what I mean? Like people in the past that might have like never really considered asking you anything or like taking your opinion too seriously were just like, you know, sit like in a line waiting to talk to you and everything. It was crazy. You're like you're like, you know, giving a dissertation to all past like coworkers that like from their point of view, I feel like they did miss out. They're like, oh shit, this guy was this legit, knew this stuff the whole time. So like that was like pretty inspiring to me, seeing that kind of like turnaround. It was,
I was gonna say it was wild to me too, bro, because I remember what you were talking about. I mean, I think like a part of it was just like no one knew what the hell I was talking about when I just like ramble about player development, because it was just like, I mean, you have to understand like front offices are so ingrained, especially at that time where the numbers in R&D departments weren't as high as they are now. It's like so much goes into.
Some of them are still low.
Some of them are still low. Yeah, that's right. Just like all of your time allocation is devoted to MLB ops, and you don't. I mean, I just had no overlap with that because like I just didn't find that interesting. So like there's just like not a lot of commonplace, or at the time that was like the perception, right? And then as you start to realize like, hey, you know, like pitch design is a thing, you know, the conversation switched from like you know, maybe pitch metrics, maybe like pitch FXZ can like aid our projection model to or a projection system to be like X% more accurate or whatever, to, oh, you know, we could start targeting guys that aren't good, or, oh, you know, like we can start using this in the draft, and like, oh, you know what I mean? You start getting to like these next level questions. And that happened within like two years, you know, that happened within like 2 years. So like you have access to this data that no one really cared about. Not, I wouldn't say care about, but just like really was
didn't know how to apply. I feel like even the answer, because that was like something I struggled with that as well. Just like, what is the biggest, lowest hanging fruit that we can deliver right away? And like there was more than I thought. It was much more than I initially thought. Because remember like walking into I think my first week at Driveline, I started on Tuesday, and we used to have like all hands talks. And like Bodie and Mike asked me if I want to give an all hands talk like next week. And I was like, let's just do it tomorrow. Like, you know, trying to like show that I'm like, yeah, I don't care. I'll talk tomorrow. And I was like, I didn't know anything about anyone's background from a like math and stats point of view. So like, you know, I got to come legit. I'm the new quantitative analyst. And I don't know if you remember this, Dan, I gave a talk on neural networks. And then like,
I do remember this.
Because I was like, I had no idea the whole time. And I was around, Bodie's like, all right, so I don't think anybody understood any of that besides me myself. But anyways, a new quantitative analyst. And then I was like, then you use neural networks for like a year and a half. You know, it's just like not like, it's not even like, you know, obviously neural networks have their place, but it was so far above what the low hanging fruit of stuff to contribute both to the floor, both to an outside third party, consulting, public research, all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Catcher pop times and arm strength.
Never forget. I mean, dude, that's the thing though, is like those conversations, like that talk was geared towards an MLB front office, but like that information historically, not that like you should talk to a pitching coach about neural networks, but like even just a baseline conversation on that front, just like never has happened for most organizations to this day, you know? So like that's the thing that I think people don't realize is like, you know, you have these like really advanced front offices that have like are like sort of geared to answer the types of questions that I think you thought initially was the case, Caravan at like Driveline or whatever. Yeah. And like even we weren't ready for like that type of information to like make its way to the floor yet, right? Yeah. So like I think that's something that's like it just takes experience and time to be able to sort of like grasp where the industry is, both in just like a bunch of different silos, you know, front office, player development, scouting, etc.
What do you think is the area you've like learned? Oh shit, Max Engelbrecht's about to drop off some stuff.
Oh,
okay, he just dropped off some stuff. And anyways, what do you feel are like some of the areas, and you can be as broad or specific as you want, of either, what are some areas of stuff that you use on a day-to-day basis or week-to-week basis that you feel like you've improved on the most in the last like year or so, like grown as an analyst, a manager, like anything essentially? It could be, I mean, one easy answer that I'm thinking of right now is maybe even just like coding formatting after going through that walkthrough earlier today. Right? Like that's something like a year ago, you were never thinking about having scripts take in multiple system arguments based on inputs, outputs. Now we have an API developed for our software. Our internal software tool is Driveline Edge. Put the logo over here. But like, what are some things you feel like you've improved on a ton that you weren't initially expecting to?
I real quick, I just realized Lindley didn't include Driveline Edge in the overlay.
It was a room, bro.
Whoa, dude. Hopefully York doesn't watch this one, bro.
Wow.
Hopefully York doesn't watch this one.
If he does, he's not watching another one. He's out after this.
Lindley's going in employee conduct, baby.
Again.
I mean, for me, I think productions, like getting something into production's probably like the biggest thing that I've had to work on. I'm still not even good at it, but like being able to integrate different reports into Track, for example, something that wasn't a thing in the past. Like it would just all live locally on my computer. I can manipulate what I want. And then like I would kind of be the direct link between like player and analyst or whatever. I'd like give a supplemental write-up of my opinion, and then that would get shared with the player, something like that. Whereas now there are so many coaches and analysts that have a decent enough grasp of like this sort of like niche player development analytics like area or whatever, that like, you know, we can provide reports to coaches, we can provide reports to players, and like they can take it and actually like make decisions on their programming and training modalities to get better. And so for me, that's been the biggest thing, is just like, all right, you know, these things can't live locally anymore. You've got to be able to get 100%. Things into production.
Yeah.
So
we always do we used to do so many like one-offs, or like, you know, like patching things up, getting them to work for like, you know, a tour stop or like local assessments or a contract or whatever it was, you know. And now it's like when we start building something or like a report or a tool, it's towards like thinking of, you know, like how can this last for a while, or what does it scale to, kind of a thing. Like, yeah, it's been definitely a huge like perspective kind of shift across the,
for sure,
you know, the entirety of R&D.
For sure. I mean, even a year ago, I remember like doing there was like a request for like a bunch of different reports, and I remember just like one-off doing them and then like writing them up and then giving them to coach, and then, you know, did whatever they needed to do with them.
Yep.
And then like now it's like we have like 20 players that need report. You know what I mean? It's just like literally impossible.
40,000 PBR guys.
There you go. So like it's just impossible now. Like you gotta be able to scale everything.
All right, Dan. Do you have anything else that you want to talk about before we get into a couple last questions?
You can't hit him with that open end of a question.
Why? Is there anything that you want to present?
We already talked about Sabre 2019 conference in your Twitter game, dude. I've checked all the boxes that I wanted to cover in this hour, bro, or whatever it's been.
That's
all right.
Caravan's question was worse.
Which one?
Thoughts on baseball,
2020,
pro ball, social media, analytics.
Well, I was between that, and I was going to ask him who's your favorite and least favorite person in Driveline R&D. That's my backup cue.
Wow, that's actually and the reason your question stuck out so much, Caravan, was because on that panel that I moderated, I did the exact same thing. I started like talking for.
I heard you got teed up,
and then I led it into a question. And this guy from Dari actually teed me up on it so bad. And I was hoping Dan would do the same to you. He
what would that guy say?
I asked like this super open-ended question. It was really bad because I'd like long-winded through it. And he goes, "Could you funnel that down a bit?"
Nice.
He's like, he was like nodding his head, and then I finished. He's like, "Yeah, no, great. Could you like funnel that into a more discreet question?" I was like, "Yeah, my bad. You know, and it just teed me up.
What's your
so
favorite
bad.
food?
So broad. I was hoping Dan would do the same to you. I was getting ready.
I didn't know that was on the table, dude. I'm trying to be polite on my first appearance, dude.
Fair. Might get another one.
Woo!
I have to be a recurring guest. All right, we have some questions for you. First, what's the best and worst part of co-managing analytics with Caravan?
The best part has got to be he like, I think he's using his brother's webcam, and that like what was that, like April or May you started to use that thing? Dude, you look real good on Zoom, dude. You get the hair flow going. You never know what you're gonna get. Like we had a pretty important meeting last week, and he just went tank for it. He went tank in a man bun, dude. It was unbelievable.
I was like, I was wearing a tank.
I was in shock. I think everybody on the call was. So like
that
Zoom loaded
here and say that it's my webcam that I let Andy use. So
possibly also Brady's tank.
Andy's webcam, I guess.
Brady's tank.
He couldn't have gone if Caravan went hair down. It would have been too much. He had to keep the hair up with the tank, or else
the Zoom loaded, and I realized I was wearing a tank, and I was like, shit.
You had to address it, dude. You addressed it. That was what shocked me too. You were like casual tank, and I was like, oh, it's one of those days. And then you're just like, literally, it's just like, hey, how's it going? And then you just direct the question at me. Go, what do you got on my tank, bro? Everybody's on the call is just like.
I was like, Dan, I thought we were going matching tanks. Like,
that's it. I was so rattled that I gave the most salad answer back. I was just like, I don't even know how to answer this.
Yeah.
What's the worst part?
Worst part. Give me worst part, dude, is hitting the Monday afternoon, Monday night meeting we have for Analytics Wing. He's just way more prepared than me. He's just way more prepared than me for the meetings, dude. So I'll just be like, you know, maybe I'll like jot some like bullet points down or whatever. Caravan's got like 6 pages of notes. He's got like a full itinerary. He drops it like 2 minutes before to rattle me too. So I'll have like a couple of talking points, and Caravan's just like, all right, agenda. And it's like this Slack message that I've got to like scroll down for sometime, you know? So that's definitely the worst part. He shows me up on a weekly basis, and it puts me in the dome. And it's a Monday too, so that lasts until like Wednesday or Thursday.
Dude, well, I fit in all those times when you're like, sorry boys, 6:15. For me, got to eat a little bit.
The meeting's at 9 p.m. Eastern. So your boy, because he's got his messed up schedule, is eating like all the time. And I mean, truthfully, I'll just like forget about it. It'll be like 8:45, and I'll be like,
oh, food.
Oh, I'm gonna be late. So
dude, now that we got a good amount of people in there. Now we got a good amount of people in Analytics Wing. It's like it's like low-key starting to turn into like almost the like the pitching floor when you were telling me like project management stuff. When it's like just dropping like because I mean I try to involve everyone, and there definitely are people, you know, I'm not gonna name names, but definitely are people whose like opinions I kind of care about quite a bit in those meetings. But then I also don't want to like bog it down by like after each sentence like, all right, so what did you guys think? What did you think? What did you think? What did you think? You know what I mean? So it's like it's got to be kind of a little bit, or like at least like the way it's turned out, a little bit like project management stuff. Like, all right, how was your week? Okay. Anyways, you know, but I mean, I think I don't know. I like it. It's a lot more specific than R&D stand-ups though, which is like by nature because it's way more focused.
I think I was gonna say I think the weekly meeting structure. I mean, I don't know what you guys think, but for me, if like you're just going over projects, like that's mostly preferable to me because I think any more than like 2 or 3 times a week is just like super redundant. And then like when you go 2 weeks at a time, it's just like, I mean, they just take it's just a long ass update for everyone, and it's just like you can't pay attention to like 2/3 of what's going on. So I actually kind of like it, I guess is more of the story, but yeah. Anyways,
keep the cues rolling, Lindley.
This is
real quick. Dan, what is your plan for the coup to take over the analytics wing?
Oh my coup, dude.
Caravan,
I mean,
I'll take my
headphones off.
Caravan's been known to leave his backpack at like bars. You know what I mean?
Yes.
And then if his laptop is in there, like he's just done. You know, he's just done. So I guess
shout out Boobins for the one time Dan Boobins and I went day drinking with no plans before. We're like, yeah, we can grab a drink. It's like 2 p.m. We end up staying out the whole day. Showed up at the Airbnb. I'm just like chucking my phone across the room into the wall.
Actually, topically relevant right now because Caravan's wallet has been lost for like 48 hours now.
Yeah.
See, that's what I mean. So the coup is just like
let
hopefully
him do his thing.
loses his laptop.
Let
He
himself
loses his laptop, and I just take control. I just take power.
You're not going to do anything actively. Just let Caravan just
Shoot myself in the foot.
Jeopardize his standing.
All right. Usually, so this is the Driveline Research and Drinks podcast. Usually, we're all drinking beers. Today, you and I are drinking spirits, Dan. But as far as beer goes, what's your favorite beer in social situations?
In social situations, well, first of all, it's research and drinks, and you guys are having beers. See, I thought this was cocktails only, dude. I got simple syrup for this meeting, for this podcast.
I'm down to go into some, harder drinks. I just my hard alcohol IQ is so low. I would just get like a Vegas bomb or something.
I mean, I got some Bloody Marys in episode 4 or something.
Vodka Red Bull or something. Embarrassing.
You get vodka Red Bull. Bodie's gonna come on this, dude.
Yeah,
I would definitely have to
run it back.
Yeah. Would definitely have to up the ingredients in the drink cabinet. All right, we already went over this. Who has a better Twitter game? Me or Caravan? I have the better Twitter game. What's the best thing to do in long Zoom meetings that get drug on a little bit?
This is my volunteered question.
Hey, well, first off, let me answer the prior question, dude, and say IPA, like a West Coast IPA for me.
West Coast
beer in social situations, and then best thing to do when a Zoom meeting is dragging on, or what? Can you repeat it?
Best thing is, sorry, I didn't even realize you didn't answer that question. That was on me. Best thing to do on long Zoom meetings that are just long, get drug on.
Oh, that's 100% to Slack DM Caravan. You kidding me? Are you kidding me?
And then
try to drag them on.
And then try and drag it on longer.
Yeah, and then
that was an all timer.
Last longer.
That was an all timer. Yeah. Caravan and I have in the past hijacked Zoom meetings that have gone on too long and then purposefully drag them on longer. But then I usually blow the cover by just laughing.
Like that one time where I needed the last 5 minutes of the meeting for a conversation with Joe, and you guys purposely drug it on until the meeting ended. Nice. This is a little bit more serious. Best piece of advice for somebody looking to get into the baseball industry, baseball analytics industry.
Yeah. I mean, I like kind of alluded to this like a little bit earlier, but I mean, this is just my opinion, but I really do believe there's just like a like surplus of like comp sci stats, math majors that just like, can do whatever they want from like a coding perspective, but like where the game is in 2020, like the basic questions are answered at this point. Like you can try and build out a better model for like pitch framing or like player acquisition or whatever. But like, if you don't know the practical side of things, like you're just literally squeezing the juice out of something that's been just like completely shriveled up and like it's just been done. It's just been done for like 5 years,
Just a quick like add on to that. What do you think the best like the easiest way to get involved in the more applied side of baseball to kind of be just exposed to that type of information?
Yeah. So that was what I was like gonna say is like for me like, you know, just going to school and like writing up your own stuff like isn't good enough anymore. There's just like too many people that are doing that. So like you've got to either like volunteer at a facility or hopefully get like a paid internship, just anywhere that's that just lets you be around coaches, athletes, like whether it's just basic Rapsodo data or blast data. Like there are so many places that are collecting that information at this point in time that, or even just like looking for sort of like remote analyst work. Like there's just so many facilities. And then like, obviously like going to a college that has a really like well built out student manager program is obviously like a big one as well. But if you can't like go to Iowa or UNC or Texas, places that like have that sort of like reputation as having really good like college analytics departments, then like, you know, for me, it's like just trying to help
Academy,
out
baby, youth baseball,
huh?
Driveline Academy.
Driveline Academy, yeah, Driveline Academy. So no, but yeah, I think that's the big thing for me. And then like I will say one more thing.
Follow Dan Aucoin on Twitter. Is that what
follow me on Twitter. No, there is like a ton of stuff with StatCast data that just like hasn't really been looked at. That like MLBAM is just like constantly releasing or whatever.
Yeah.
That like
I know of Hawkeye as well.
Yeah, and we'll see like what they release on the Hawkeye front, but like for sure, you know, there's just like even just like in the past couple of years they've added shifts, like outfield and infield shifts, like different types of shifts. No one has done anything on that, you know? So like there's just like little things like that you could sort of like pick apart that like just haven't been done before. You just like you can maybe write a better transaction analysis than someone else, but like it's just like it's probably just not gonna cut it today, you know? It's just like even if you do have a better transaction analysis, like
and it's hard to judge it also. I've even sent you a couple of those pieces. Like I think there's a ton of good work and good people doing this work, but it's like there's so many ERA predictors at this point that it's like you know, like I've seen like tables, people predicting their own xFIP or xERA compared to like 10 other industry standard ones, and it's just like hard to, you know, they'll do good validation work on it and stuff, but it's hard to like really sift through and be like, okay, is this really better than FIP? Is this really better than Steamer's ERA predictor? And then even if it is, it's like about how much better, what value is it? What was your sample size? Did you have like some sampling bias? Did you have some survivorship bias? All like so much stuff to sift through just to tell if your work in this field is actually worthwhile compared to existing work, when there are, like Dan said, unexplored areas that might be, you know, it might be worth it just being like the first mover on that front.
I'll say like two things because I think it's a really good
Peter
point.
Thiel.
What's up?
We got Peter Thiel dropping some quotes. Better go 0-1.
I'll say like two things because I think it's a really good point, Caravan. Like, I think oftentimes people who are like in the position that are like publishing their own work, trying to make a name for themselves, just like feel pressure to like release this metric that is just better than like industry standard or whatever. It's just like all of their validation tests are sort of like geared towards like their metric performing better than like XYZ. And like, truthfully, that doesn't matter. You know what I mean? Some of the best presentations, some of the best like write-ups that I've seen and valued personally are just like someone that like creates kind of like a shitty metric, but like knows why it's shitty. You know what I mean? Like they say like, oh, you know, like it performed kind of like in a disappointing manner. Or like there was one presentation at Sabre Seminar in August in Boston in like 2019 where just like one student manager just talked about like the limitations of the college TrackMan shared data set. And it's just like, you know, he basically said like, I intend on doing XYZ, but like there are these limitations and these things we've got to clean up for. And it was like truly one of the most impressive impressive presentations I've been at. And he didn't even do really any analysis.
Yeah.
It was just like his way of thinking about the game, you know, was really impressive. And so like, you know, I guess if there's anyone in that position that's listening, like you don't need to create this like all impressive thing. You've just got to demonstrate that you think about the game in like a really sort of like intricate and detailed and novel manner. And then if you demonstrate that, you're going to be ahead of the curve. And then really second thing, I kind of forgot. I'll be pretty honest about it. But
I think that's like a huge point, and I'm really big on that. And I'm glad you said it the way that you said that, because I've always been pretty big on like understanding the limitations of something is like true expertise on a topic, you know. And I encounter that so much. Like, and I know, I'm sure Lindley does too, with like biomechanics related things. Like, it's not like, you know, interacting with someone on the floor or anything. They're like, hey, I got this thing, or I think this is a thing. It's like understanding the limitations of what it can do is like real expertise. And that can lead you to like, you know, better knowledge. I think that's like really good point.
You don't need to reinvent the wheel at 21. You know what I mean? You just got to like 21 years old. You just got to figure out like how it's constructed at that point. And then if you're able to do that, you know, you're ahead of the game. I remember what I was going to say to Caravan's point about just kind of being like a first mover in certain things. Like, you know, there's so many different aspects that like I've just gone sort of like untapped in the industry. Like to throw a bone to anyone who's like listening, like you can literally go on Pitching Ninja's like Dropbox or Drive or whatever he's using these days, and just like pull everyone's grips. You can classify them and then just like compare their pitch metrics and see if you can pick something out. I mean, little things like that. You could find nothing. You could literally find nothing. But like someone theoretically could just be the grip analyst guy. Like that just doesn't exist. Yeah. You know what I mean? You just be that guy and try and figure it out. Maybe find nothing, but like no team knows that yet. You know what I mean? We don't really know that. We're trying, but like, you know what I mean? So like there's a bunch of different things there that are just like untapped that you just got to like really sort of think about and put two and two together. You can find value in certain resources that maybe you wouldn't necessarily see it. And, you know, I think that's what in 2020 is sort of like the big thing that teams that we're looking for, you know what I mean? It's like, it's what everybody's looking for, rather than just like, you know, I have a like comp sci degree from some Ivy League school or West Coast Ivy, you know?
Yeah. Nice.
And
all right.
I'll say last question. Do you guys think we should ask Dan which one he wants to answer?
Yeah,
sure. All right, Dan. We got two potential last questions here. We've been DMing each other back and forth whether to ask which one of these to ask. I'll present the one I initially came up with, and then Brady can present. Yeah, because I knew there's a good story behind it, and Brady can ask his. So I was going to say, what's your worst roommate story? Since we just moved into all right. Well, Brady's trying to summary mine, but yeah, what's your worst roommate experience? Since we just moved into a new house, it's been a little bit hectic so far. And then Brady, what were you gonna ask?
It's just tough because I've already heard the roommate story too, which only.
I got a couple though. I don't know which one I'm gonna go with.
Yeah. Oh yeah. I just assumed that the one that Caravan told from you.
Dan's got good ones, dude.
But the question I was gonna ask was, Driveline Mount Rushmore can be employees, current and past. Could be products, apparel. You know, you got four things to throw on Driveline Mount Rushmore. What are they?
4 things?
Yep. People.
Okay, I'm down to put pressure on the Mount Rushmore. Then I thought Brady was gonna ask like
could even be like a little 4 story, people. You know, like
I thought the 4 people. I thought it was gonna be 4 people. I was like, oh, that might be a little bit tough, just from like. No.
I'm thinking like,
can we include athletes?
It could be, you know, you could go like green plyo ball. The Pitch Rex V1 Edge Report.
A massage ball
V2. I don't know, man.
Still score V2.
You got 4 slots.
4 slots. I mean, it's gotta be green plyo. You know what I mean? Like it just. Well, I mean, what plyo? Like it's just gotta be plyos. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
like, you know, you can't not have plyos on there.
That's a good one.
I mean, obviously it's gotta be like Bodie, and then you gotta have Bauer. You know what I mean? Like I feel like you got to. So then we're left with one. And then we've had like three pretty serious ones, I think. So we got to like lighten it up. You know what I mean? Like can't just be like four like total dudes, you know? So like, it's gotta be, give me, this is going to be a wild card here. It's special in my heart. The CR phone.
Wow.
A lot of transactions on that phone, a lot of information dispelled to a lot of people. You know what I mean? Like,
and I think the last time I saw that phone was a day before. Last time I saw that phone was I walk into the R&D lobby. It's ringing, and I see someone who I think who's been name dropped during this podcast. Pick it up and it starts ringing. Pick it up, just chuck it across the lobby, and that's how it stops ringing.
That was it. That was when the phone's number was retired in Driveline history. That was it. Career-ending injury.
The marketing czar he's gonna get right on that. We're gonna get a Mount Rushmore with photoshopped green plyo, Bodie's face, Bauer, and CR phone.
Lindley, I'll get you a mock-up of the phone if you haven't seen it, bro.
Yeah, please do. We going broken
in flight as it's getting chucked across the room.
That's what it should really be. It should be that person throwing the phone as the fourth head on Mount Rushmore. And then what was the other question?
Oh, if you want to answer a quick worst roommate story.
Oh, worst.
Yeah.
It's got to be quick. I'll go with the other one because the other one might not be totally podcast friendly, but it's fringe. It's fringe. I had so when I moved to Seattle, I like technically lived in Tacoma, and living conditions weren't ideal for the place I was at. Specifically, there was dried throw up on the bed that I was given to sleep in. So I stayed there for a month. And didn't want to be on the hook for another month's rent in Tacoma because I just moved across the country from Florida and had no money. So I like found this like pretty sketchy apartment in Renton, and it wasn't ideal. For a variety of different reasons. And basically my like roommates were like kind of scheming to like get me out in a way that wouldn't like cost them money, but which was like kind of ironic because I was like never there. I was just at Driveline. The night before Thanksgiving 2017, on a technicality, they had never given me a key. And I had never signed a lease. So I technically like had no obligation to be there or whatever. So they all went out on the night before Thanksgiving, and I called like a buddy of mine that lives in Tacoma, and we just packed up all my stuff and dipped. And then I just like left a note. I left a note on the door that was just like, I said like peace or something like that. And then I just like woke up to like 17 text messages or whatever about like I owed them for cable and just like all this stuff. It was insane. So then I just like Venmo'd the dude and just like never talked to, which like I didn't really owe them the money, but I just kind of wanted to be done with it or whatever, So I just like Venmo'd him like $500 and just like kind of called it. But then I was like, I was pretty homeless for like 3 or 4, like the entire month of November or December at Driveline. I was pretty homeless. But then good thing happened. Schwartz took the job with the Giants, and then I just moved into his room, baby. Yeah. So that's how all that came to be. It was a tough month though. It was a pretty wild month.
Maybe Schwartz should be on your Driveline Mount Rushmore.
Yeah, you're probably right. You're probably
maybe it
right.
replaces Bauer. I don't know.
I was gonna say as a guest, but yeah, we're gonna do it.
Both, dude.
Yeah.
That's fire. All right.
Yeah,
thanks for coming on, Dan.
Hey,
on very short notice.
Thanks for the invite, dude. I'll see you guys in like what, 3 years?
Podcast.
3 years. I didn't. You didn't get me. Let me get through this. I didn't even win the poll. Here.
Yeah.
We want to talk about that. We don't want to talk about that on air.
So it's technically on like a technical. I don't know how I feel about this whole thing. I'll rewatch this. This will be the first time I watch the podcast. I'll let you know what I think after.
Yeah,
we'll put a poll after. We'll
see how the views and listens go. Maybe we'll have you back. Maybe not. Who knows?
Now that we broke 100 subscribers, kind of making.
So
our
Dan,
way
we need you to help us break 200, or we'll consider it a guest podcast episode a failure.
Yeah.
That's what I was. That was gonna be my next question. It's just what do I gotta do for subscribers to count this as a W?
Well, according to marketing KPIs, we got to get to 200 by middle of August. So
we're gonna sell so many
or by end of August
podcast.
Yeah.
KPI.
Yeah.
If we want, we could
Make it count.
for the podcast. We're trying to get 200 subscribers.
We're getting the podcast there. Caravan's talking quietly to someone off stream. That's it. Thanks for coming. See you guys next week.
No,
Thank you, Dan.
get out.